After finishing his address, Keir Starmer stepped forward, expecting applause and a wave of support. What he faced instead was every politician's nightmare. Shouts of "Shame, shame, you are criminal" exploded from the crowd, sharp and relentless. It was a furious voice of the nation, raw and unrestrained. For a moment, he tried to stand firm, acting as though nothing had shifted. Yet the chants only intensified. Police officers were forced to push protesters back to create space. Starmer shielded his face from the cameras, eyes lowered, and hurried away from the chaos toward the safety of his car. Any illusion of a supportive audience dissolved instantly.
This is unacceptable. What happened to human rights? What happened to democracy? We call for democracy. We don't see any of that. Please don't touch me. Please do not touch me. I'm not doing anything wrong. Okay, I'm not.
Why did the crowd of protesters turn on Starmer so viciously? He was emerging from a public hearing during which he was publicly humiliated, exposed for his hypocrisy in dealing with illegal immigrants who commit violent crimes, including stabbings. He was publicly humiliated after being caught out on hypocrisy over illegal migrants committing violent crimes, including knife attacks. Kemi Badenoch went straight for the jugular, accusing him of personally blocking the deportation of foreign offenders. She singled out Ernesto Elliott, a man with 17 convictions, some for knife crime. After his removal was stopped, he went on to kill. What is that, if not aiding and abetting crime on Starmer's part?
So let's talk about immigration. He has relaunched yet again. Many new targets, 6 milestones, 5 missions, but why was cutting immigration not a priority?
The previous government presided over record high levels of immigration. The figures just a few weeks ago, nearly 1 million on net migration. That is unprecedented. She stood up and praised the then Tory Home Secretary for listening to her on removing caps on migration visas. So she was applauding it.
He wanted us to relax immigration, but as he's so keen to talk about the past, let's look at his record. 4 years ago, the Prime Minister signed a letter demanding that foreign criminals be allowed to stay in Britain. Dozens of Labour and Liberal Democrat MPs repeatedly signed these letters insisting that rapists and murderers be allowed to stay here. One of those criminals, Ernesto Elliott, had 17 convictions, including for knife crime. After his deportation was blocked, Elliott went on to murder someone. He was able to stay here and murder because people like this man campaigned against deporting criminals.
Have you noticed how uncomfortable Starmer gets when the subject of illegal migrants comes up? It's his most vulnerable topic. Before stepping into Parliament, he memorizes the talking points fed to him by his PR team, ready to dodge and redirect any awkward question. You can almost see him searching for the next rehearsed line, desperate to change the subject. And when the pressure mounts, he'll defend illegal migrants with everything he's got. For one simple reason, they benefit him. The system works like this. He and his team take taxpayers' money and funnel it into generous welfare handouts for people who arrived just yesterday without papers, sneaking across the channel. They're housed in luxury hotels, all funded by taxes, even from pensioners shivering in their homes. The image of warm hotel rooms filled with illegal strangers while locals freeze is a national scandal hiding in plain sight. In return, these groups vote Labour in droves. Convenient, isn't it? British citizens, however, are left to deal with the fallout. Rising crime, phone snatchings, grooming gangs, sexual assaults, knife violence. In parts of London, carrying a machete is practically normal. The streets feel less safe than ever, and ordinary people are paying the price. No wonder Nigel Farage has gone on the attack. He's slamming Starmer for throwing open the borders to arrivals from Afghanistan and Eritrea. Farage warns the situation is now critical. Around 400 to 500 migrants are now arriving through the channel every single day, according to official figures. These are people with no documents, free to commit crimes and walk away without facing justice. Deportations don't work, integration is impossible, and yet more unassimilable migrants are on their way. Even his political opponents admit that public patience is wearing dangerously thin.
What the hell is the Prime Minister going on about? We're talking about illegal immigration. He wasn't given visas. He just said we've got to look at visas, which means what he's really saying is we'll open up legal routes to Eritrea. We'll open up legal routes to Afghanistan. This man hasn't got a clue. He literally hasn't got a clue. He is wedded to a human rights agenda. His second speech as Prime Minister in the House of Commons praised the ECHR, under which our judges are powerless to deport most people here, including even those suspected of terrorism elsewhere.
Public anger over illegal migrants is exploding across Britain, and Starmer is proving too weak to face it. Outside migrant hotels, protests grow louder every week, driven by fear for the safety of women and children. Instead of tackling the crisis head-on, Starmer hides behind empty slogans and polished sound bites from his PR team. The moment he hears a question on migration, his tone changes, his eyes drop, and he scrambles for a way out. He pretends to care about public safety, yet blocks deportations of dangerous offenders who have no right to be here. When cases like the sex case of a 12-year-old girl by 2 asylum seekers emerge by Nigel Farage, Starmer's response is silence and deflection. Officials under his watch use community cohesion as an excuse to hide the truth from the British public. It's a cover-up culture that leaves predators on the streets while victims are forgotten. Starmer refuses to detain young, undocumented men arriving across the channel, letting them roam free in British towns. Knife attacks, grooming gangs, and violent assaults rise, yet the Prime Minister acts as if nothing is wrong. He will dodge, change the subject, or attack his critics before ever admitting there's a problem. Instead of protecting his citizens, he houses these men in taxpayer-funded hotels and calls it compassion. This isn't compassion, it's a reward system for breaking the law. Starmer's open door stance sends a message worldwide. Britain is soft, Britain won't enforce its borders. Other countries, like Australia, acted decisively and stopped the boat. Starmer does nothing but talk, and when he's cornered with direct facts, you can see the discomfort on his face as he spits out a rehearsed defense. Every day of inaction makes him look weaker, more hypocritical, and completely out of touch with reality. The public can see the truth. Under Starmer, criminals are protected, while ordinary Britons live in fear.
There is certainly rising public anger out there in the country. The migrant hotel issue has moved really from one of fairness, why on earth have people been given all these things, to very much about the safety of women and children. For all the government's talk about protecting children, which they claim is the sole purpose of the Online Safety Act, our criticisms of that and the impositions on free speech that have been imposed just in the first week of its operation, I will say to all broadcasters when we get to this segment of today's press conference, nothing we say will in any way be in contempt of court. And indeed, to quote Jonathan Hall KC, who is the independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, he said in the wake of Southport that we should spell out the basic and sober facts.
Nigel Farage strikes directly at the hottest pressure points in the country's migrant crisis. Starmer is left clinging to legal jargon and cherry-picks statistics from select areas where Labour claims to have made progress. He talks about isolated successes, but the truth is brutal. What they fix in a month is undone by fresh arrivals within a week. Farage points out that the numbers keep climbing and the government's promises mean nothing on the ground. When confronted with this reality, Starmer has no real answer and quickly tries to change the subject. This silence is dangerous for his career, as Farage not only identifies the problems, but presents a plan to root them out completely. It's a plan that resonates with voters who feel ignored, betrayed and unsafe under Labour's watch. If this momentum continues, Farage and Reform UK could take a majority of seats in Parliament, rewriting Britain's political map.
So I want to be absolutely clear at the start of this 6-week campaign that Reform will be the toughest party on law and order and on crime that this country has ever seen. We will aim to cut crime by half in the first 5 years of a Reform government. We will take back control of our streets. We will take back control of our courts, of our prisons. And if you're a criminal, I am putting you on notice today that from 2029, or whenever that may be, either you obey the law or you will face very serious justice.
Starmer's migration policy is packed with empty phrases about fairness and compassion, which sound more like excuses to avoid action than a real plan. And when it comes to border control, his refusal to back mass deportations has sparked outrage far beyond Conservative voters. Many lifelong Labour supporters who once saw the party as a defender of ordinary Britons now feel they have a leader who protects criminals instead of protecting citizens. Behind the scenes, Labour insiders are uneasy. There are quiet conversations about whether Starmer can survive if the migrant crisis keeps escalating. He was supposed to be the safe pair of hands, the one who could restore trust and lead Labour back into power. but public opinion says otherwise. Anger over migrant hotels, rising knife crime, and grooming gangs is eroding his support week by week, and the Southport cover-up only poured fuel on the fire. Sensing his poll numbers slipping, Starmer rolls out fresh statements on migration, hoping they will save him, but the nation has long learned that his polished speeches in Parliament never match the reality outside. After his promises, the streets in troubled cities look exactly the same, the ghettos don't disappear, and the predators don't vanish. Illegal migrants don't hand over their machetes for scrap metal, and the daily arrivals across the channel don't stop. It's the same cycle every time, grand words followed by zero change. Katie Hopkins openly mocks this charade, calling Starmer a master of empty theatre, and with every failed pledge, his image as a weak and hypocritical leader hardens in the public mind.
It's Keir here. My director of strategy, who's a right ginger, has said that I should explain our new policy on migration very simply. So before, we loved illegals. We couldn't get enough of illegals. Illegals, come, welcome. I helped bring them in. I put them in hotels. In fact, I love all illegals because they are the ones that vote for us. So if you go to any of the Labour strongholds, Luton, Leicester, Birmingham, Bradford, all you'll find is Muslims, and we can buy their vote for 20 quid. So now we say, we cannot stand illegals. We are the ones that will control the border. You can trust us. We will stop them coming. So you must look at Dover, because there's 25,000 of the arriving every day on small inflatable rubber dinghies, and we're doing absolutely to stop that.
Starmer's latest speech on migration, meant to calm public concern, only exposed how divided his party really is and pushed support even lower. People are accusing him of siding with illegal migrants over his own citizens, and his constant flip-flopping on border control is destroying trust. The anger outside migrant hotels isn't just about one policy, it's a clear warning. The real question now is whether Starmer can turn this crisis around, or if this is the beginning of the end for Labour under his leadership. Will he finally shut the borders, or will the backlash keep growing until it sweeps him out of office? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more on political scandals, major controversies and the stories the mainstream media tries to bury. Stay tuned, this fight is far from over.